In Houston for round 8 of the AMA Supercross Series. One thing the Astrodome provides as we get a look at the Suzuki track map is a larger area, David, and this year a lot more jumps.
Well, the tracks don't get any better than this. It's the biggest and best racetrack we've had so far this year, and because of the extra space, we got 2 new sections. First, to the top left of your screen is a whoop-de-doo section right after the triple, and also over behind the starting line before you make that left to go behind is a quadruple jump, 75 feet, and not a lot of run at that.
The qualifying procedure for Supercross is as follows. Each rider running in one of 2 qualifying heats with the top 4 finishers headed directly to the main event and getting the best gate positions. The rest of the field goes on to the semifinals where the top 5 from each get the transfer to the main. Then there's only one more opportunity to make some bread. That's the last chance qualifier where only the top 2 fill out the 20-rider field. Right now the riders are on the line getting set for heat number 1. We have the second guy in points, Damon Huffman. The third person in points, Jeff Emig, Damon Bradshaw, Bill Lawrence, the top privateer, Doug Henry, Todd DeHoop coming out of the arena cross area to come back into Supercross here tonight to try to qualify. So it should be an exciting way to kick off Supercross here in the Astrodome.
And Art, lately it's been Jeff Emig getting all the hole shots. I'd look for him to get out strong, and also Damon Bradshaw has won here 3 times. Looked pretty spunky out there in practice. He likes this soil.
And he's feeling good coming off the Daytona performance where he had a great battle with Hoffman in that one. We're off. And breaking out in front is Ezra Lusk, number 34, but watch the inside bike. It's Damon Bradshaw, number 28. Ezra Lusk coming into the whoops first, but Damon Bradshaw right there. And Larry Ward, number 6, followed by number 2. That's Jeff Emig. On the corner, it's Damon Bradshaw bringing the crowd alive as he comes equal bar to bar with Ezra Lusk. Ezra having trouble with injuries last year and having trouble this year keeping it upright.
That's the scary part. You saw Damon come up a little bit short right there in that quad. In the first lap, you don't know what the riders in front of you are going to do. Fortunately, Lusk jumped it. That allowed Damon to do it, and they got a little distance on the field.
Ezra Lusk still out in front as they come out of that second whoop section going into the 7 peaks. This is a time section. It's very difficult. Damon Bradshaw right on the heels of Ezra Lusk with Larry Ward, one of his better qualifying performances so far.
Well, actually, it's one of his better starts. And you can see the difference of line through that section. He was jumping over that tabletop, picked up a lot of time on Bradshaw. They're side by side now.
Oh, side by side is right. Damon Bradshaw trying the inside. Larry Ward gets around him on the straightaway with the acceleration. They go into the little double single before the long whoop section. 23 whoops here today.
Look at the drive. Larry Ward.
Oh, Damon Bradshaw made a slight mistake.
And his foot came off the peg. He gets passed by 2 more guys. So Bradshaw going backwards. Larry Ward got an incredible drive through the whoop-de-doo section. Kept the front end above those things for about 6 bumps.
Remember, only the top 4 go directly to the main as we have Ezra Lusk, Larry Ward, and it's Emig and Swink battling back and forth for third.
That quad's going to be exciting all night. Emig jumped right over Swink's head into 3rd place. Larry Ward also jumped it. I haven't noticed him doing that very much tonight in practice. He's had some problems with that hand recuperating to get back to 100% right now.
Exciting battle for that transfer spot right now, David Bailey's. We've got Emig in 3rd, Swink in 4th, Bradshaw having some timing problems in 5th.
Well, it's so slippery. It's a lot slipperier than it was in practice. Remember, they've got it with the tractors and reworked a few sections since they last saw the racetrack. And in the inside, there's no berm, and it's just like riding on ice.
Ezra Lusk did not run at Daytona because of a back injury. As you saw our Suzuki field summary, Ezra Lusk in number 1 position, Larry Ward in 2nd. It's Emig in 3rd and Swink in 4th, with Bradshaw losing ground to Brian Swink.
Well, it's a long ways behind Bradshaw back to the next guy, who's Jimmy Button right now, but Emig is starting to pick up his pace, getting pretty quick through the whoop-de-doo section. He's already starting to take a look at Larry Ward. That might put the pressure on him. They could close up on Lusk.
There you see number 23, Brian Swink, Honda of Troy. Number 2, Jeff Emig. Team Kawasaki right in front of him, trying to get it close to Ward.
You can see how much trouble they're having in the insides of those corners. Now Emig, the different lines through that option section. This is where Larry Ward making a lot of time in the first lap on Bradshaw.
Well, this course has so much airtime, but look at this battle. Ward cutting inside of Emig.
Well, Emig did the smart thing there. He just tried to go in there and cut him off, but Larry Ward knew. A lot of guys know what Emig's going to do.
Here comes Emig on the whoops. What acceleration by Jeff Emig.
Well, he scooted through there the last lap. He's starting to find his rhythm. He's getting relaxed. he's got enough speed and he's got the pace to go up and catch Ezra Lusk. He's got enough time left.
And there goes the quad jump. Everyone doing the quadzilla with Bradshaw catching a little rear tire on the landing.
Well, you have to do it now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the guys purposely come up just a little bit short, scrub off a little speed, because the corner right after it's very slick.
What a victory this would be for Ezra Lusk if he can hold on. He's only made one main event this year by qualifying 4th in a heat. That's been his best qualifying performance.
Well, we've seen him out front quite a bit, but he can't keep it on 2 wheels.
We'll be right back with the conclusion of our qualifying heat number 1 in the 250s from the Astrodome after this. Welcome back to the Astrodome. 250 Supercross qualifying underway right now with Ezra Lusk in the lead, but that lead has narrowed down to 3 seconds as Jeff Emig behind him in the 2nd position.
Now Bradshaw, as you just saw as they went over that step-up big plateau heading into the triple, Bradshaw starting to put the pressure on Larry Ward. Larry Ward looked over. He knows he's there. That's your battle. Bradshaw's got to get around if he wants to try to get to the main.
That's the transfer spot. 2 Honda of Troy riders, Swink in 3rd, and here goes Bradshaw leaping over Ward, but now it's bar to bar. Just means how you'd want to time it. Bradshaw, though, got the good inside line.
Well, he timed that. He placed himself in the right spot. He had to plan that about 3 corners ago. An excellent design by the track designers to get a lot of options out there.
Ward still hounding there, wants that transfer spot back.
You can see those skid marks in all the corners. When they get down to the floor of this dome, it's really slippery. It's hard to get a run at anything. That's why it's good if you go out and use the berm, but if you got somebody on your tail, you can't do it.
Back to the leader, Ezra Lusk now, as he goes into the step up to heaven. But Emig is right there. And there is Damon Huffman approaching Larry Ward. Huffman has come out of nowhere.
Well, Huffman has been moving up from a pretty lousy start. You see Larry Ward already starting to look back. He looked strong in the beginning. Maybe that wrist, it just isn't up to par, and he can't go through this. This is the toughest track we've had so far, and it's probably taken its toll on Larry.
Well, the riders have been crying for tough tracks. I'm not sure Larry Ward has been, because he came off that European season with the broken thumb. Didn't really realize how bad it was through the first opener for Supercross.
And now what's happening, they're coming off the finish line jump. Huffman makes the pass on Bradshaw. That's for the final qualifying position.
And Bradshaw coming right back. Oh, this is going to be a good one. The old veteran versus the 250 rookie. Here comes Huffman, break through the whoops. That's his strong point in racing right now.
He went by Bradshaw like he was tied to a pole through there. Huffman and Ryan Hughes both have been so fast with that whoop section all day. I wouldn't be surprised if Huffman and Bradshaw in their battles go right past Brian Swink. He's starting to fade just a little.
Well, Huffman already is barking at the rear tire of Brian Swink as they go into the 2nd triple.
Bradshaw is going to have to bark on it as well, because that's, now that Huffman's passed him, Bradshaw sits 5th. That's not going to get him out of the heat into the main event.
Bradshaw, great competitor now, feels stronger, feels confident. Let's see if he can make the main out of this qualifying heat.
You know, I don't normally see these guys, these top-level guys, making this many mistakes. That leads me to believe this track is really technical.
Okay, when they cross the finish line right there, this is the final lap in qualifying number 1.
Well, it started off looking pretty good for Bradshaw, challenging Lusk for the lead in that opening lap.
Huffman taking the outside line on Brian Swink. He'll zip by Swink. Here comes Bradshaw right behind. Oh, this is a great finish to our first qualifying heat.
And that was smart by Huffman. As he realized he made that pass, he started veering over to his left to cut off that line, so Swink couldn't come in there and block pass him.
White flag lap. Ezra Lusk still out on top. But look at that. Swink and Bradshaw. That's the fight for the transfer spot. Swink still in 4th.
Bradshaw's going to have to pull something out of his hat right here. He's got to get around Swink. He's close enough. They're getting close to the finish line as well. Bradshaw had a different line through here on the last lap. See if he does it again.
Bradshaw. Beautiful move as we go to the checkered flag. Out front, it was Ezra Lusk in a great comeback effort for Ezra as far as his career is concerned. Right in front of Emig. We'll be right back with the official standings of our finish of qualifying heat number 1 here in the Astrodome, and hear from Davey Coombs with our winner right after this. Here in Houston, we've completed our opening qualifying heat. These 4 riders earning their way to the main event. So let's go down to Davey Coombs, who's with our winner, Ezra Lusk.
Ezra, that's another fine heat race ride. That's about the 3rd week in a row you've done that. How are you going to transfer that to the main event?
Well, I'd like to take that heat race right into the main, get that same start and ride smooth. There towards the end of the race, it started getting a little bit tight, but I had a weekend off because I hurt my tailbone before Atlanta, and it's really been bothering me a lot. So it messed me up for Gainesville, and I didn't get to race Daytona. So, I'm ready to race. I missed too much last year. I got so much adrenaline built up in me that I just want to put that Suzuki up front.
Well, we hope to see you on the podium afterwards.
Thanks a lot. I don't think good Lord Jesus Christ can be safe out there. AXO and Scott USA, all those guys helped me out a lot. And that'll be it.
Well, why I have you up here, let me ask you another thing. Were you at all nervous about Jeff Emmett coming up behind you?
I didn't know who it was. I didn't want to look back, and my mechanic was telling me where everybody was at, so I just rode smooth, concentrated on this technical track, and kept my Suzuki up front.
Okay. Congratulations, Ezra.
Thanks a lot.
Back up to you, Art.
Thanks, Davey. Well, David Bailey, Ezra Lusk, really showing some nice stuff in this qualifying heat, trying to get off the blocks and get back onto the podium. Lusk, Emig, Huffman, and Swink holding off Bradshaw. Bradshaw having to go to the semis.
Bradshaw gave him everything he could handle going to that final straightaway, and Swink heard him coming on the inside, grabbed a handful of throttle, cut him off. They almost went off the racetrack, and he beat him by about a wheel. Bradshaw's not going to be happy about that, especially coming off a 2nd place in Daytona.
We see the face of Jeremy McGrath. Now we switch over to the bike of number 4, Steve Lampson. You see Mike LaRocco Sr. there, who incidentally liked this track.
Yeah, even he liked it. So you know it's got to be good. He's complained about these tracks all year being too easy and his son not having enough technical stuff to make up for some of the poor starts he's been notorious for. But so far what I've seen tonight, the start's still important. The guys who get the win.
There's Team Honda right together. Jeremy McGrath, number 1, number 4, Steve Lampson. As we look at some of the other riders getting ready at the gate. Mike LaRocco, 5th in points. Ryan Hughes tied for 7th in 250 points. As we look, let's go down and maybe listen in to Skip Norfolk. Not yet. Okay, well, you can see he chatters a lot right before the start of a race.
He does that every week, and all I can figure is it's, let's get this over with, win another one, go home and golf.
Okay, what a battle we had in Daytona and Atlanta between the 2 Honda riders.
Lampson finally beating his teammate McGrath in a heat race at the last round. The only other guy to do that all year long. I had to give Lampson a little confidence.
Well, he said he's ready to win one of these things, whether it's Jeremy McGrath out there, his teammate, or not.
Well, I got news for him. There's about 8 more guys that are all ready to win one of these. Ryan Hughes is due. LaRocco's due. There's Albertine. He's been crashing a little bit lately. If he can keep it on 2 wheels, he can perhaps do what Lusk did. They both ride about the same speed a lot. That's the question. Not making mistakes, keep it on 2 wheels and starts. I know that's a lot to do, but that's what Jeremy does every week, and it works for him.
Well, I know Roger DeCoster must have been pleased with the start that Suzuki 250 got.
The bikes have come a long way. They got the semi now. The team's in order. They just need to get the riders to get a little confident.
Okay, we're ready for qualifying heat number 2 of the 250s. Breaking out in front, number 1, Jeremy McGrath. McGrath taking the inside route. That's been successful. Albertine is number 16 to the outside. Lammy is right behind McGrath. But it's Albertine taking over 2nd place behind Jeremy McGrath as they go into the first triple.
And Ryan Hughes is right there. Ryan, just like Damon Huffman, has been really fast in the whoop sections all day. He sits in 4th, the final transfer spot.
Oh, leaving the bike was Albertine flying through the air. He knew he couldn't hit the triple. He knew he was going to case it, so he left the bike in midair, it looked like to me, David.
Art, that is so scary. I brought it up in the first heat. You don't know what to expect, what's going to happen when you're in traffic like that the first lap to jump that quad. It's great to see. It's great for the spectators, but it's dangerous, no doubt, in that first lap.
So Jeremy McGrath with a big lead over Steve Lampson, his teammate, but Ryan Hughes is in 3rd right now. As we look at Greg Albertine, here's Jeremy McGrath going over the finish line jump, completing the first lap.
McGrath choosing to go to the outside after the finish line jump, which is the faster line. He does it again here, and he can afford it. Look at how much room he's got. However, Hughes has moved into 2nd place, and he's faster in the whoops than Jeremy McGrath.
So it's McGrath, Hughes, Lampson, and LaRocco in the first 4 spots. with Mike Brown pursuing in 5th. Let's take another look and see if we can see exactly what went through the mind here of Albertine. You see, he's not going to make it, so he leaves the bike.
That's so scary. Look at the pounding that he took. What an impact.
And Lamson doing a great job of avoiding it.
Well, I mean, all these guys were in the air. There's not a whole lot you can do. He was lucky he didn't get run over. That had to scare Lamson just as bad as it did Albertine.
Albertine is up. Of course, he's not feeling well, that's for sure, as he's talking with the AMA officials. Here in qualifying heat number 2, it is Jeremy McGrath just taken away with it.
That's a really good sign to see Albie up on his own. When he kind of looked like a rag doll, and that's always scary, but he's up and okay. McGrath continues to use those outside lines. He's not pulling away from Ryan Hughes, but those two are pulling away from everybody else.
Well, with Jeremy McGrath now, David, so far out in front in the qualifying heat, in our second qualifying heat, he doesn't have to show any of the tricks.
Not really, but I think Ryan Hughes has the speed to catch Jeremy. He's been fast. He's due. I said at the start, he's due for a win. He and Jeremy ride together a little bit during the week, and you can bet that whatever Jeremy's got, Ryan Hughes already knows about it. There's spotters all over the place.
Right now, the 4 positions for the transfers to the main are pretty well defined, with Jeremy McGrath, Ryan Hughes, and then Steve Lamson and Mike LaRocco in that order, and fairly spaced apart equally.
Coming into that corner, Ryan Hughes, you can see how much trouble they're having trying to get some traction on that slick surface. Coming into that, he jumped the double. McGrath just in front of him cased it there. A rare mistake by Jeremy.
Hughes at one time was up to 3rd in the point standings, but after a 10th at Atlanta and a 25th at Daytona, after a big crash in the whoops, he's back to tied for 8th in the points. Oh, more exciting action from our qualifying rounds from the Astrodome here in Houston, Texas. We'll be back with the conclusion of our second qualifying round right after these important words. We're in our 4th lap of the second qualifying round here in Houston, Texas. 4 more riders looking for top gate positions in the main event out of this heat number 2. Jeremy McGrath now and Ryan Hughes, 1 and 2. Ryan picking up some time as we see Ryan over the triple.
Well, I think they're about the same everywhere on the racetrack, but Ryan Hughes is flying through the whoop section. It looks like the whoops aren't even there. He's keeping the bike flat, making up a lot of time. That's going to do wonders for his confidence, catching the best rider in the world.
Also picking up on the 3rd place bike, Steve Lamson, is Mike LaRocco as we check him out. Number 8 on the Suzuki, starting to pull up on the number 4 red bike.
Although there are slightly a battle of them between themselves, LaRocco will probably tighten that up. These guys are so far behind the 2 leaders, it's unbelievable. I mean, we're not even halfway through this race, and they've already dropped probably 10, 12 seconds.
So after the devastating launch and fly through the air by Albertine, we've got Jeremy McGrath out in front. And let's go down to Davey Coombs with Greg Albertine.
Good, and I honestly don't know what happened. I just didn't get the speed up.
What about the other guys coming down? Were you just out cold right then? I mean, it looked like you weren't even watching those guys come down around you.
I was pretty much knocked around. I mean, I didn't even know what happened.
Are we going to see you in another race now, or are you going to call it a night?
Yeah, I'll see how I feel over that. I'll try and come back.
Thanks, Greg. We're going to go back up to Art.
Well, we apologize for our technical problems there, but it pretty well got in the essence of it, David.
Well, that was scary for Greg. You can see he's a little bit groggy. I would be, too. You can see the tremendous impact he took. His feet hit the jump, spun him around, then he hit his head. And I don't know. I don't think I'd be putting a sentence together at that point.
That's true. Jeremy McGrath leading qualifying heat number 2. Ryan Hughes, about a 3-second gap between first and this bike, number 5 in second.
This is where he makes up all his time through that whoop section. I can't tell you how rough that is, and when Ryan goes through there, it looks easy. He's continuing to let Jeremy know he's there. He hasn't closed a whole lot, but Jeremy has been unable to pull away, and I know Jeremy. He doesn't like that. He likes to look back and see a little more gap each lap.
Well, you can see Jeremy putting his head down a little bit more and focusing and getting away from Ryan Hughes.
And I like what he just did there in that step up. He jumped all the way over the top and landed on the downside. That sets him up beautifully for the triple.
Okay, through that timing 7 peak section, Jeremy McGrath, number 1, number 5, Ryan Hughes, spinning those wheels on the slick, hard-packed soil here in Houston.
They're trying everything they can to hook up. And I think now Ryan's got the ability with a lap left to see what Jeremy's doing. He's close enough now. He made up some time that lap, and Jeremy can't say, well, it was the last lap. He's still got to keep the hammer down because Ryan's closing fast.
Here in the last lap, we might just say verbally that Steve Lapson is still in third and Mike LaRocco still in fourth. Those positions pretty clear-cut right now. As Ryan Hughes trying to pick up some space, the double into the Quadzilla. Ryan Hughes takes that beautifully.
That's
and here's
beautiful
Jeremy
to watch.
McGrath.
Those guys are so high, Art. They're so high. I can't even believe it. It's farther than the triples. It's not as high of a takeoff, so that's what makes it even more impressive. It's a smaller jump. They're getting higher and farther.
Ryan Hughes picking up some more of the gap between he and McGrath as they go into that very tight turn. Jeremy getting good acceleration and traction out of there. As they go for the finish line jump, Jeremy McGrath winning the second qualifying heat with Ryan Hughes second. It looks like it'll be Lamson third and LaRocco fourth. We'll be back with the comments from Showtime in a minute. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs. Supercross from Houston, and here's our official look at the Suzuki top 4 results. After the just concluded heat number 2, McGrath, Hughes, Lamson, LaRocco going to the main event. And Davies had quite a job here in the second qualifying heat, running back and forth in the mechanics area to the injured rider, of course, Greg Albertine, and now to the podium with our winner.
Well, Jeremy, another heat race win. What about Ryan Hughes coming up behind you?
Well, I need to pick up the pace for sure in the whoops. I think that's where I was kind of messing up, and you know, I felt pretty comfortable. I got a little bit nervous, you know, out there, but I mean, yeah, I just need to pick up the pace. Rhino was riding really good.
It didn't look like you worked up that much of a sweat.
It's pretty humid here. I'm sweating a little bit more than normal, but hopefully I can go out there and get a good start in the main like that again, and maybe have the same sweat. That'd be good. 20 laps.
We'll see if you can keep your perfect gear going.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Davey. What a great couple of heat races we've seen here. It's good to know that the champion, Jeremy McGrath, can get a little bit nervous. Semifinals are known for some of the best racing. Stay tuned. It's all coming up next.
For this week's Honda Flashback, we'll take you back to 1995, right here in the Astrodome. And for the main event, it was number 6 Jeff Emig pulling the whole shot from the middle, but McGrath was right there. And although Jeremy had a scary crash in the heat race, dropping him to second place, he apparently had regrouped and he started putting pressure on Emig. And with a faster line to the whoop section, he tries the outside, but Emig shuts the door, and all Jeremy can do is shake his head. But on the very next lap, Jeremy with a fast line to the whoops again, sets Emig up on the outside, fakes him out and cuts to the inside, makes the pass stick. And a slight mistake there by Jeremy, but it didn't slow him down. Emig stayed with McGrath for a little while, but eventually McGrath pulled away 2 seconds to lap, picking up his 7th win on the 95 season. And although Emig had led for 6 laps, picking up second place in his best finish of the 95 season, he was still no match for McGrath.
Last year, a great battle with Emig. The year before, Jeremy got a 10th place start and proved once again that he didn't always need a whole shot or a second place start to win. The 32nd board is up now for the 250 semifinal heat number 1. And we've got some outstanding riders that didn't make the main event coming out of the first qualifying heat. We're talking about Damon Bradshaw, Larry Ward, Phil Lawrence, the top privateer in the points race, Doug Henry. Can't forget Jimmy Button, who's had some very fast laps this year.
Well, he's won a semi, I believe, during the season. You never can count him out.
And they're off. Semifinal number 1, and it's Larry Ward, number 6, taking the point. Does he get enough inside charge, though, with Damon Bradshaw cutting to the inside? It's Ward and Bradshaw. Bradshaw having some trouble in the whoops like he did in the qualifying round, but Bradshaw takes the lead after Ward got boxed out.
Well, that was smart by Damon. He was smart in the first corner.
Todd DeHoop, a wonderful box-out move, and Todd DeHoop is coming out of the Arena Cross. This is his first Supercross action of the year. His number 18, of course, was based on points from last year's competition.
And I got to tell you, everyone was scratching their heads during practice going, who the heck is number 18? Because he looked pretty good out there. We haven't seen him all year. And he made a pretty slick move to get around Larry Ward in the second place.
Out in front, it's Bradshaw, but don't forget Bradshaw had a great start in the qualifying heat and then wavered.
Well, he tried to get around Lusk, got up side by side with him, but he couldn't make it stick. Then he had to kind of ride defensive, going wide in the corner. he lost the position, then he didn't jump the quad, lost a couple of more. Here, I don't think he feels like he's got enough pressure from Larry Ward or Todd DeHoop.
He's got a 2-second lead right now on Todd DeHoop as they go through the whoop section now. The top 5 riders, don't forget, going to the main event. So Todd DeHoop wants to stay up there with Larry Ward on his tail in 3rd place. Doug Henry in 4th with Cliff Palmer in 5th place. And he is getting a big challenge from Jimmy Button for that final transfer spot.
Oh, Larry Ward tried to go for the quad. Last second, he put on the brakes and cased it. That's not going to help that wrist any.
No, it certainly won't. As Larry Ward, though, strong enough and big enough to hold on and continue on in 3rd place. He's still pretty close to Todd DeHoop as they go through the 7 Peaks section, which calls on a lot of timing.
We've seen guys come out of the semis and do pretty good in the main event. Damon Huffman in Seattle, when he had that great battle with Jeremy, had to come out of the semi. In fact, he got beat by his teammate Ryan Hughes. So the fact that Bradshaw's in the semi really doesn't mean he's not going to be a threat in the main. He's won here 3 times, as they pointed out already.
Well, he mentioned to it earlier as he goes through the whoops right now. We're checking out the number 2nd and 3rd place rider. Here comes Larry Ward. He makes the pass on Todd DeHoop. And Doug Henry will be right behind Todd DeHoop as they come out of that section.
This is Todd DeHoop's initiation into Supercross this year. They don't have that kind of whoop section in Arena Cross. There's not enough room to put that many. So he's got taken to school right there by Larry Ward. But now he can watch, and it looks like he might be solidly in the main unless he makes a big mistake.
They're packed in behind Damon Bradshaw out in front.
Doug Henry, as you can see right there, now starting to put the pressure on DeHoop. This is that long rhythm section, those 7 peaks.
4 laps into our semifinal crown. And Todd DeHoop trying to keep him out of there, but here comes Doug Henry. Little different timing through the tabletop area as they go to the finish line jump. It's Bradshaw, Larry Ward, Todd DeHoop, and here's the pass. Yes, Henry gets in front of Todd DeHoop. Henry, number 15 on the Team Yamaha, coming back from a broken back, suffered in the Nationals. Todd DeHoop going through those hoops very, very well. Gets the angle, but can't cut him off.
He learned his lesson the last lap from Larry Ward. He got through there pretty quick. I think probably surprised Henry a little bit. Henry went wide in the corner before the section to get that run, but there's the difference. So Henry doing the quad.
Todd DeHoop now in the 4th position with Jimmy Button in 5th.
You can see how much time he can make up, or lose rather, by jumping that quad when you saw Henry and DeHoop come in there together.
Okay, we'll see that final battle for the transfer when we return to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, with more Supercross action in a moment. Welcome back. 8 riders have already qualified for tonight's main event, and here is a tremendous battle for the final transfer spot in semifinal heat number 1.
Right now, Jimmy Button is controlling it. Lawrence just put a pass on DeHoop. Henry has slowed down. Actually, he went over the finish line tabletop, couldn't jump it, and all those riders behind him couldn't jump it either. They all bunched up in a big pile. Henry's riding around slow, obviously a mechanical.
And Henry is pulled up, and so that'll leave a spot open in the top 5, as the top 5 will qualify out of this semifinal heat number 1. Right now, out in front, it's Bradshaw just taken away with it with Larry Ward. No competition in 2nd place. Right flag lap, the final lap now, as Doug Henry looks down at his bike and tries to stay out there as he comes off the track. Jimmy Button has a teammate right behind him, and Phil Lawrence behind Kalos.
Well, as it sits right now, Cliff Palmer, right there, number 27 on the Suzuki, he's the one that's not going to make it to the main. It may have been Phil Lawrence had Doug Henry not had that mechanical problem.
There you see Damon Bradshaw. As we started to mention earlier, he felt real stiff, he said, in the Daytona qualification. And really got such a good start in the main event. He said, I didn't know what to do with a good start. And then he turned in with that great battle with Damon Huffman throughout the main event, in which later on Damon Bradshaw figured out the lines of Damon Huffman and took advantage of him to take 2nd place in front of the other Damon. So Bradshaw now takes the checkered flag before on his way to the semifinal, I should say the main event, as Larry Ward in second place, and it's Jimmy Button in third, Kalos in fourth, and Phil Lawrence filling out the roster from semifinal number 1. We'll once again going to the victory stand when we return to the Houston Astrodome after these words. Semifinal 1 now history here in the Houston Astrodome as we welcome you back to AMA Supercross. These 5 riders taking a sigh of relief as they made it to the main event for this evening. Damon Bradshaw, Larry Ward, and what a battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th with Jimmy Button, Sean Kalos, and Phil Lawrence. Let's go down to Davey Coombs.
Okay, we just got Damon Bradshaw back out of the locker room. Damon, how are things going tonight?
It's going pretty good other than having to ride a semi, but I'm in the main event.
Yeah. Well, Daytona, you had so much momentum at the end of the race. Do you still have that this week?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I kind of wish the main had lasted about 30 minutes. The way I'm riding tonight, I'm not riding, start riding till about halfway through. So, but the main event will be 20 minutes. 20 laps. Hopefully I can get a good start and be in there.
I know there's a lot of people here in Houston who would like to see you back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, I'd like to be.
Thank you.
Thanks, Davey, as Damon Bradshaw. Little helmet head there, Davey.
Well, it looked like he swallowed a firecracker or something, Mark. He's got that helmet hair going. And, you know, it's good to see him smile a little bit anyway. I mean, he knows it's ridiculous to have to come out of the semi, a guy that's been on the podium 3 times this year, but you know, that might have been a blessing in disguise. He said it's taken him a little while to find his rhythm, and he's warmed up now.
Of course, one of the big winners here in the Astrodome is Damon Bradshaw, taking 3 victories here in the Astrodome prior. Of course, he's not the winningest rider here in Houston Astrodome. But as we get ready for semifinal number 2, we've got Mike Brown, Denny Stevenson, Buddy Antunez. That's Mike Brown shaking out his arms. There's Buddy Antunez getting ready. Let's go back to Davey Coombs down at trackside.
Yeah, you know, I was just down here talking to Damon. That guy is so serious about winning this race, but at the same time, he's not the old Bradshaw. He's not putting all that pressure on himself that we saw back in 92 and 93 when he kind of lost his direction for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if Damon rode just as fast in the main event as he just rode in that semi. I think he's got that look in his eyes again.
Well, that's good to hear, isn't it, David?
That's good to hear. I think he's gone fast here in the past. He's comfortable with this bigger racetrack on the Astrodome floor. Anytime you've won anywhere, I don't care if you hate the town, if you just, everything goes wrong. If you win the race, you always like to go back there.
Now, Greg Albertine was scheduled to be on the line for this second semifinal round, and he is not at the gate. Reason being, it's not physical reasons for Greg Albertine. He is okay, he says. But they couldn't get the bike ready in time.
Well, the impact that Greg took was nothing compared to what the bike took. It nosedived into the 4th jump, and it bent the triple clamp, the headset of the frame so bad they couldn't get it fixed in time, and might be better off. He's not going for the title indoors now. He's had some problems, so he'll just focus on the outdoors now.
Let me see Denny Stevenson from the Great Western team. Jeff DeMent, right out of next door Humble, Texas. A local boy trying to make the main event here out of the semifinal number 2 as the 30-second board is up. Boy, how'd you like to be the outside rider out there, number 81? He's awful lonely, Doug Stone out there. We take a look at some of the Astrodome crowd.
What's funny is he's left about 6 gates between himself and the next guy, so he wants a lot of elbow room out there, and he's going to have to move in quite a bit as soon as he gets off the gate. He might decide to go and use that outside berm in the first corner, but I have a feeling he's going to get there's going to be some people in his way when he gets there.
Okay, we're set to go. It's sideways, and they're off. Buddy Antunez, number 22, out at the point, along with number 9, Mike Brown. Mike Brown cuts to the inside. In the first turn, we've had a couple of riders get all tied up, I should say. Rich Taylor. Mike Brown is our leader here in semifinal number 2. It is Denny Stevenson, number 24, in second place, and Jeff Hedden in third, number 85.
Well, Hedden sandwiched in between those Great Western riders. He's got Buddy Antunez right behind him. And those first 4, as you can see as they come over the jump there, the triple, they're already starting to put a little lead on the next guy that just came by. He wasn't jumping the triple, so I have a feeling these guys are going to have it all their way in this semi.
Here's Antunez putting the move on Hedden. Hedden gets the inside line, though, and that real quick turn before the tabletop. The completion of lap number 1 with 5 laps to go now in our semifinal number 2 here for the 250s. Mike Brown, an experienced rider out of Piney Flats, Tennessee, on that Honda of Troy machine. Denny Stevenson, he's a veteran, a former Team Suzuki rider who had some bad luck with some serious injuries and is coming back as a privateer, hooked on with the independent team Great Western. Buddy Antunez making the pass on Hedden to move into 3rd. Buddy Antunez, number 22, a former Peak Pro Circuit teammate of Jeremy McGrath's.
You can see he elected not to jump that quad. He's going 2 and 2. I can tell you, when you're heading up to that thing, you don't get much of a run at it. As I already pointed out, it's 75 feet. That's if you jump it perfect. You need to allow yourself a little bit of leeway there, or else you end up like Greg Albertine did. But I think Mike Brown right there on your screen, he's got to be the favorite in this race. However, surprising me is number 24, Stevenson, keeping the pressure on. If Brown makes any mistake at all, Stevenson's right there. And I've seen Denny get in there and get physical, and
Mike
track
Brown
allows that.
His best finish was in Atlanta, a steady performance after a bad start in 11th. He came up to place 7th in Atlanta, his best performance of 1996. But Mike Brown is out in front here in the semifinal round, and let's go down to Davey Coombs.
We're down here with Don Stevenson. Don, how's Denny's wrist?
He spent 5 hours in the emergency room after Gainesville. They thought he broke it, but it turned out he's got a bone bruise and a real bad sprain. But he's riding with a weird, kind of a strange contraption on his bars where he can lay his thumb over in front of where the grip normally goes. And he just, if he overjumps or underjumps, he's done for the night. So he's just trying to ride really smooth. That's why he's not doing the quad.
Right now, the top 5 riders going to the main event. And it's pretty well defined. Mike Brown getting some chase from Denny Stevenson, Buddy Antunez in 3rd, Hedden in 4th. And then we go all the way back to number 800, Gene Newmack. So let's take a break. Come back and see the checkered flag as we leave you now. Semifinal number 2, Mike Brown, our leader. We'll be back to the Astrodome for the conclusion of this round in just a moment. Welcome back to the Astrodome as we are in the semifinal number 2 with 3 laps remaining. Mike Brown headed through the whoop section with Denny Stevenson behind him. A little mistake, and Denny Stevenson would walk away with a checkered flag here. We go into the triple jump. It'll be interesting to see when they make this turn into the double and the quad where Mike Brown can make up some time.
Well, every time Stevenson gets close, there you see Mike Brown jumps that quad. Stevenson goes 2 and 2. And look at the distance he was able to open up. Over on the other side of the racetrack they're coming around to, that's where Stevenson's been able to make up a lot of time after that rhythm, those 7 peaks. Stevenson's usually pretty close. He's got an outside line right there, and through this rhythm section here he makes up a lot of time. They get to the quad and it opens back up again. So I think right now he's just hoping for a mistake. If Brown doesn't make one, he's in the main anyway, so good enough.
Gene Newmack, who's in 5th position, has qualified only twice in the Supercrosses so far this year. As we go into the final lap of semifinal number 2, Mike Brown still holding on to the lead. Denny Stevenson looks pretty satisfied right now with 2nd place out of the semifinal round as Mike Brown makes his move toward the first triple on the course. Buddy Antunez a distant 3rd.
Mike Brown coming up to that double, then the quadruple jump. Looks like he's going to go for it. He does. And that's going to open it back up again. That's the cushion he needs to ride into the checkered flag without a lot of pressure from Stevenson.
Getting the most out of that Honda of Troy machine. The acceleration, as you mentioned, after that short launching ramp, coming off the double, going into that quad.
Well, as they go into that 2nd triple here before this whoop section, they come out of that corner. They're sliding sideways, sometimes all the way up off the ramp and into the air. It's pretty impressive to get over there close and take a look at it. Not much of a run. It's one of the bigger triples we've seen so far this year because of the extra area in the dome.
We'll be back with the official 5 list as Mike Brown takes the checkered flag, winning semifinal number 2. Back to the Astrodome after these words. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs from Houston, Texas. 18 of the 20 gate positions have now been filled as you see Mike Brown, Denny Stevenson, Buddy Antunez, Jeff Hedden, and Gene Newmack making it to the main event out of semifinal number 2. Let's go down to Davey Coombs with our winner, Mike Brown.
Mike, I know you barely missed transferring directly from the heat race. What about the semi?
It was good, but in the heat race, I started out good. My arms pumped up really bad. The whoop section's really hard and fast, and
Try to hang on too tight, my arms pumped up. Came out in the main event, got a good start. Led it from start to beginning. My arms still pumped up a little bit there at the end, but I held on for the win.
What are you going to try and do to correct that for the main event?
Just try to stay loose as I can. I'll be up there in the top 10, hopefully.
We hope so, too.
Mike Brown, David, who's done so well in the National Outdoor Series, gets his way into the main event. As we look for 8 in a row from Jeremy McGrath. Well, that's coming up a little later. It's always exciting when the best superstars in the making, when both the top riders from the East and the West regions are combined, and that'll be happening only 3 times this year, and once, the second time, right now.
That's going to be good. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. It's the top 2 guys is got to be Pichon and Wyndham. And Wyndham, although he doesn't lead the East, he's kind of talking like he's going to ride a little more conservative against Wyndham, so he can try to take over the points lead in the East.
Part of the fine crowd here at the Houston Astrodome. The 125 main event will be coming up next. In Houston, Texas, the last chance qualifier for the 250s just concluded with Doug Henry, who had the mechanical problems with his front brake during qualifying, coming back to win the LCQ. Kevin Crine, the KTM rider, taking the final spot at the gate. All 20 riders ready now. The parade lap underway for the 125 main. Kevin Wyndham back to prove that he's the very best of the 125 hopefuls. Mikel Pichon right there, anxious to regain his #1 championship plate in the East. Starting grid, the Suzuki starting grid. John Dowd is the leading points man in one division. The old man of the troops, you might say. He said, okay, but I'm leading the East in points. As we get a good look at those riders that are making the main event here tonight. Barry Karsten, the Iron Man.
Yeah, and Rusty Hall in there, 71, picking up that pro circuit ride. And there's Kevin Wyndham. He's been unbelievable coming off that collarbone. He looks stronger than he did before he got hurt.
He really does, and he has enchanted the fans here with his leaping ability, especially over the quad.
I was talking to some of the Yamaha guys, Mike Gura, in fact, and he said Kevin's opinion of that whole injury scene was it wasn't a problem before, it's not a problem now. He's 100%. At least he's faking everyone out.
James Dodd tied with Kevin Wyndham in points, but James had all kinds of problems in practice with a crash, and then crashed in the whoops in qualifying, and so he barely made the main event, getting a 3rd place finish in the LCQ. He's got a very sore jaw, could be broken teeth, and but he's in there trying as hard as he can to keep his lead, the tie with Kevin Wyndham in the West. So we're getting out set now. The 30-second board is not up yet, but the crowd, listening to them, you might think it was. Mikel Pichon and Kevin Wyndham side by side.
And also Ferry right there on the outside of him. But what I'm thinking is interesting here is the fact that Wyndham is lined up just to the inside of Michael Pichon. That might make a big difference in the first corner, because what we've seen is everyone drifting wide in the first corner. If Wyndham can get in there without anybody on the inside of him, he can tuck under there and come out with a pretty decent start. He's going to need it. Pichon has been fast in the early laps.
There you see Ferry to the inside of John Dowd as well. Tim Ferry, the winner of heat #1. Mikel Pichon, the winner of heat #2 in the qualifying. The 30-second board is up, and we're almost set to go from the Houston Astrodome. It is round number 8 of AMA Supercross, with the 125 Supercross East and West divisions getting together for only the 2nd time this year for this main event.
Great shot of Wyndham and Pichon just a moment ago, lined up next to each other. Pichon reaching down to check the gas one more time. These guys fidget.
Board is sideways. They rev it up, and that gate can drop at any time. They're off. And look at #1, Kevin Wyndham to the inside on the Yamaha. Or I should say 7. John Dowd. It's Wyndham to the inside, number 38. It's Wyndham taking the lead in the whoops. Wyndham and Dowd, they're teammates in different divisions. Wyndham #2, John Dowd, I should say Wyndham number 38 in first, John Dowd number 7 in second. Tim Ferry, after a box-out situation, has now moved into 5th.
Ferry with a pretty decent start, but already about 10 seconds down on Kevin Wyndham, who's gone already, and Pichon, Art, was almost dead last in the first corner. He cut through everyone pretty nicely, but he's still way back in the pack.
Well, it'll be interesting to check his progress as time goes on. The reflection of the lights on the 7, it looked like a number 1 to me. He is now in 9th position. Mikel Pichon, as we are looking at the leader right now at the end of the first lap, 14 laps to go. A long race here in the 125 main event, both East and West Coast divisions.
Team Yamaha's got to be loving this. The leader in the East, the leader in the West, both on Yamaha's out front. And when Wyndham looks back and sees his teammate, that's going to help him relax. This is a battle for third. Brandis in the 3rd spot right now. What's interesting about this battle is Ferry right there to the right of your screen came into that corner. He's setting these guys up. He was just as fast as Pichon or Wyndham in the heat race, I thought.
He's coming up on Nathan Ramsey. Ramsey is right behind.
He's got to get around these guys to have any shot. You can see Dowd just went by, so he's not that far behind, but he's got to get around these 2 riders if he wants any shot at Wyndham.
Michael Brandis holding on there, but look out. Ferry goes to the inside to follow and leaping through. Oh, he can't quite get it. Nathan Ramsey. So Brandis is holding on. Brandis, a new ride with Team Chaparral. This is his first race with them. He is 4th in the points. So Team Chaparral has a 3rd point placement and a 4th point placement.
Now, just at the back of the tail end of this group is Pichon. He's moved up. He's already moved around his teammate, Rusty Holland. He's putting pressure on Ramsey, and right in front of him is Ferry. Ferry had like 10 seconds on Pichon in the first lap, so Pichon is on the gas.
Here we see the battle. 59. That's Brandis and Ferry. Ferry making the move very cautiously, but very effectively as he jumps over the triple into the small whoop section on the far side.
You can see just behind those guys, number 1, Pichon, wasn't able to do that triple. I think he could have. He had the speed, but he didn't want to take the chance with 3 guys right in front of him.
Well, Pichon really is trying to catch up with Ferry and Dowd, because in the point situation in the East, those are his opponents. Wyndham, way out in front, is the Western Division leader.
Wyndham is gone. He's going to have to go off the track for a hot dog for anybody to have a chance at him. Dowd has lost a lot of time to his teammate. He's probably looking over his shoulder at everybody coming up behind him because he's the leader of the East and he's leading the East.
Here comes Pichon in a battle with Nathan Ramsey. Pichon cutting to the inside. Will go the double. Let's see if he flies the quad. He didn't do it earlier. No, he's taking it 2 at a time.
Ramsey right there at the last second deciding to go for 3. You see how hard he landed. He cased it bad there.
Our Suzuki Field summary, Kevin Wyndham way out in front. John Dowd a comfortable 2nd right now, with Tim Ferry in 3rd, and expect Mikel Pichon in our picture, number 1, to start catching up with Tim Ferry.
Well, I think what you're seeing right now is the 4 fastest riders of the 125 division, both East and West, running in the top 4 positions.
Let's check in with Davey Combs. Davey.
Okay, I'm standing behind Chad Watts right now. He said he's going to talk to us as soon as he gets Mikel this signal. This is Pichon. And we've already known from earlier that he's not worried about winning. He only wants to beat Dowd. Chad, are you telling him to go after Dowd? Are you telling him where Dowd's at?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Are you telling Mikel where John Dowd is?
No, I'm telling him don't waste any time and pass right now, and can't afford to make any mistakes. It's too much of time being lost right now.
Tim Ferry goes down, and Mikel Pichon moves easily into 3rd. So really, he is zeroing in now on John Dowd in front of him. What a bad break for Tim Ferry.
And look at Ferry, he's waiting. He can't get back on the racetrack because so many riders are coming by. He barely squeezed by. As you see Jason McCormick just went by, almost hit his back fender.
So Ferry 3rd from last in the field of 24.
Well, that's unbelievable. He had a good run going, and that's what's been happening to Ferry. I've mentioned before, he's got the speed to run up front, but it's little mistakes like that cost him.
After a great win in the first heat of qualifying, he goes back to the condition he's been in this season with a very disappointing start on the season. We are back with the leader, Kevin Wyndham.
This is the biggest lead. I mentioned Pichon in Atlanta had a huge lead in his heat race. This is even bigger than that. I don't even know. It must be 15 seconds or so, maybe even more than that. He's still jumping that quad. This kid is so amazing. He's been riding against the 250s sometimes in the practice sessions on Friday. And he's just as fast as the 250s on his 125. And in fact, around the pits, if there's a jump that hasn't been jumped, Art, everyone waits for Windham to do it on his 125.
3 straight wins to start the season for Kevin Windham, including the East-West matchup at Minnesota. Now, coming back from injury, it presents interesting questions. And if you're Kevin Windham, do you test things out or do you go all out?
Once I got back on the bike, I've been practicing a lot, and I kind of felt it out the first week of practicing, and I had 2 weeks of practicing at home, so the second week I kind of turned up the power a little bit, and it's not bothering me at all, so I feel back to 100%, and I'm going to go out there and just learn the track and learn some good lines and go out there and really push.
We're stating the obvious as we take a look at the smooth, all-out style of Kevin Windham here in the 125 main event. After the 3 straight wins to start the season, here comes Mikel Pichon on John Dowd. As we're looking at the leader right now, Kevin Windham. It is a battle for second place as Mikel Pichon has taken over second place.
Oh, what a ride. He went into the first corner, had nowhere to go. He got bumped off the gate, just had to cruise into the corner. He was probably 18th on the first lap, carved all the way to second. He's got a long ways to go to catch Windham, but what an impressive ride. Now he's leading the East Coast Division.
Mikel Pichon can pick up some points on John Dowd if it stays right like this. McDowd right now has a 13-point lead on Mikel Pichon in the series, Eastern Series coming into this so far. We'll be back with the finish of the 125 Eastern and Western matchup in a moment. Welcome back to the Astrodome as we take a look at John Dowd, number 7, the Team Yamaha rider, currently in 3rd place. As Windham is way out in front, got the Jackrabbit start and took off. Mikel Pichon, a very poor start, has battled all the way into 2nd place to take the lead anyway of the 125 Western riders. Let's go down to Davey Combs.
I'm standing behind Brian Bear. Hey, Brian, I noticed on the pit board last time he told John to get mad.
Yeah, I mean, my personal feeling on the matter is he's too much of a nice guy, and it seems like every time we've had a race so far, he's come back and he said, well, when somebody stuck me or somebody bumped me or whatever, I got pissed, and that's when he started going fast, you know, and I'm trying to get him to do that without somebody having to slam him or whatever, you know, but it doesn't seem to be working right now.
I think I might have mentioned that Dowd was in the West. No, he is in the East and battling Mikel Pichon in the Eastern Division. As we've got a huge pileup down on the track, they're trying to clear it right now. Some of the tail runners, but pretty soon Kevin Windham's going to be cruising around. In fact, they just got it off the track as Kevin Windham goes through that area of the double and single before coming into the whoop section. What a ride by Kevin Windham, coming off a cracked collarbone. Now, he admits, of course, that if he's going to have an injury, the injury came at the right time.
Well, he was extremely lucky, yeah. He had a lot of injuries last year, and he had to miss a lot of races, and when you're not out there competing, you lose a lot of confidence. I don't care how fast you go during the week. This kid is so confident right now. He was one of the first riders of the 250s and the 125s together to jump that quadruple jump. And he's looking at the fans already. Going to throw the Honda stopwatch up there. I'll bet you this kid's running pretty close to a minute. It's a longer track, remember, in Houston, probably a little over a minute. He was running about 104 in the 120 in the practice session.
Yeah, it looks like a deserted track out there, doesn't it?
Well, look at the lead he's got. It's unbelievable. Here comes Pichon off the triple into the whoops.
And we're talking somewhere between 17 and 18 seconds.
Almost 20 seconds. And when you consider that the lap time is right around a minute, that's almost a half a lap lead. That's unheard of on a Supercross track. Jeremy doesn't even do that in the 250s.
Here's our leader, Kevin Windham, zipping through the whoops again.
And he just lapped Davey Jezik, who got caught up in that pileup you talked about, Art, in the first corner. Gonzalez went down, and it was a domino effect. A few other guys went down. Clowers was involved in that.
Mikel Pichon just now going into the whoops, so that's the lead that this young man has as we check out his lap time.
That's unbelievable. He jumps the quad, still has the technique and the ability to get on the brake, stop, and jump the double in the corner. A lot of the 250s can't do that. 103. That's unbelievable. That's as fast as the 250s have been running tonight.
We've always said that the 125 division is a preview of the superstars of the future. Well, there's Pedro Gonzalez, a very disappointed Pedro, holding his right shoulder.
I didn't see him go down, but the way he's holding it, that could be a collarbone, and I hope not.
Former Mexican champion, and at one time a very competitive rider in the 125 ranks. Let's go down to Davey.
Hey, Pedro, what happened in the first turn up there?
Well, I crashed with my teammate. His front wheel washed out. I was too close from him. We crashed together, and I don't know how I crashed. That I hit my shoulder, but you know, that's races. That happens sometimes, and next time.
Karsten and Holland have also gone down at the end of the whoop section. Here's our Suzuki field summary with Kevin Windham way out in front, Mikel Pichon in second in front of his region rival John Dowd.
And what I think we're seeing tonight is yellow flags waving everywhere. We've seen it through the heat races, and I think it's because of the difficulty of this racetrack. The jumps are huge, and if you come up a little short, you pay big. It's also very slick and hard to get a run at some of them. The guys are going down everywhere.
James Dowd just going through the whoops, and of course he was tied in points with Windham coming into this race, but Windham way out in front. Dowd on Team Suzuki, a race-to-race basis, he went down thinking he had a broken jaw. He had stitches put in his jaw. He's got loose teeth. He came up a little short in the triple during practice time.
I think at any other race, coming up a little short on the triple might not be so bad, but because this soil is so hard packed and the triples are so much bigger than normal, that face, the takeoff ramp is so much steeper. They're a lot higher, and you come down hard.
Well, he's showing how tough this Englishman can be. He's coming off 3 straight third-place finishes that placed him into the tie for the first in the West. In San Diego, though, he was a little disappointed that he didn't take advantage of Windham being out with the injury and only taking a third place and only tying Windham, not going into this one with an advantage. Tony Berluti, his mechanic, trying to give him some encouragement.
Yeah, he's putting on the pit board. Greg Schnell is not too far up the racetrack ahead of him. That's the next guy he's going to try to get him to focus on. He's about 5 or 6 seconds down from him, and there's enough time for him to catch him.
Schnell is also in the race for that Western lead. Third in the points. Let's go back to Davey Combs.
Hey, Seymour, this is Kevin Windham's king. Al, you guys get a big lead. Are you going to let him keep jumping that quadruple jump?
Whatever he feels comfortable with. Right now, he's just riding really smooth and riding smart, and he's getting into lap traffic, so I don't know if he'll do it or not. He just didn't do it, so he's just riding smart right now.
Thanks, Allie.
That's a good point. With, you know, when he got about an hour lead, why jump something that's pretty dangerous? If you come up short on that, we saw what happened to Albertine.
Here's Pichon, the defending 125 Eastern champion. The win in Daytona really picking him up after he got that high get-off in Atlanta. He won the Eastern season opener in Orlando and really is satisfied with second place here today.
Well, I think that's smart, and you know, you don't win titles by taking big chances, and he knows it. In order to make up any time on John Dowd, who's currently leading that division, he just needs to stay ahead of those guys. It would have been nice, however, in that confrontation, like we mentioned, if he could have finished ahead of Windham, put him between himself and Dowd, that would have gave him an extra little bonus, 3 more points to be exact, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, because Dowd will still be leading in the points division at the checkered flag. The heel clicker on the final lap. Kevin Windham just can't stand not to entertain. Is this showtime number 2?
I think so. There's a lot of people that feel like he's going to be the next McGrath. I don't think he's going to be the next McGrath. I think he's going to be the first Kevin Windham. He's going to win a lot of races.
The flash bulbs are popping as number 38 circles the track for the final time here this evening in the Astrodome.
Pichon jumping that double out of the corner after the quad. He hasn't jumped that quad all weekend. And that's got to play on the mind a little bit. When you lose and you're unable to jump something that one of your competitors can do, it really messes with your confidence. And although he's maybe satisfied with second, he's not going to like it.
A heel clicker on the finish line jump for Kevin Windham, now taking an undisputed lead in the 125 Western Division. Mikel Pichon inches closer to John Dowd in the Eastern Division with his second place finish. We'll be right back with the words of wisdom from these two riders and Davey Coombs down trackside right after these important words. Slow motion, but poetry in motion. Number 38, look at the balance Kevin Windham has on that heel clicker coming over the high jump.
No big deal. He's only 30 feet in the air. Just think if you get your boot buckle or something hooked around your wrist, that wouldn't be a pretty sight.
And our final results in the 125 main: Kevin Windham, Mikel Pichon, John Dowd in third, Nathan Ramsey taking off the fourth place, and Greg Schnell in the number 5. So let's go down to Davey Coombs, who's on the victory podium right now.
I'm down here with Kevin Windham, our main event winner. First of all, tell us about that heel clicker.
And just got lucky. I got out there. I got a good start. My Yamaha pulled me to the first turn first, and was able to pull a good lead. And on the last lap, did a little showboating for the crowd.
This is kind of your hometown race. I know you're from Louisiana. How's it feel to win a professional Supercross in a stadium you grew up in?
This is really nice. You know, this is only about 4 hours from my house, so all my friends from back home come to watch me and support me and stuff. And last year I wasn't too happy about it, and I wound up third, and I went on them and worked on it. Man, I couldn't pick a better crowd to do it in front of.
How do you feel about the rest of the 125 series?
I feel really good. You know, after my little injury, I was real fortunate to only miss one race, but coming back, I practiced a lot, and I feel really good.
Congratulations, Kevin. And stand here next, we have the third place rider. This is John Dowd. This is Kevin's teammate. John, your mechanic told us you got to get madder out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of working on that. Like the first 5 laps of a race, that seems to be my problem lately. But I don't know. Whenever I get a good start, I get tight and I don't ride good. And then when I get a bad start, I seem to ride better. So I got to work on that. But hopefully I can figure it out pretty soon.
I know that Pichon passed you, and that's going to affect you a little bit in the points. But do you still feel like you have the same pace he does?
Well, they were a little faster than me tonight, you know, but I think, you know, maybe this track was a little bit more to their liking or whatever, but that's okay. Hopefully I can come back next week or whatever and get the points back.
Okay. Congratulations on third.
Thanks.
And finally, right here, I have Mikel Pichon. This is our second place finisher. Mikel, for the rest of the series, how do you feel? You're running with Dowd now.
Yeah, but I'm always 11 points behind him, and I'm not very happy about that race. I got a bad start. I can't believe what the good start I got in the heat, and this time I got very terrible start, and I couldn't pass the guy. It's so hard to pass on this track, and there was only one line, and when I passed that, it was over. Kevin was way front, was in front, and after I didn't try really, I was tired at the end, so I'm not happy at all with this race.
Thanks, Mikel.
Yeah. So the unofficial tally here in the booth, subject to change by someone whose mathematical skills are a little better than mine. First of all, the 125 Eastern region, Dowd is still out in front, as Mikel Pichon, a good mathematician, said, 11 points in second place. There just wasn't as many riders between the two as Mikel would have liked in tonight's main event for the 125s. Over at the 125 Western region, Windham with 100 points, according to my unofficial tally, in front of Daub with 80 points. Daub, a bad luck night. Schnell moving up to 79 points in third place. So the championship celebration is underway for the 125s. When we return, it's the big guys, the big machines of Supercross, the 250s. Can McGrath make it 8 in a row? Or is the Astrodome, where his record-breaking string comes to a halt? We'll find out next. Welcome back to the Astrodome. The highlight of the evening is about to begin. As you can see, the 250 riders at the starting gate before their parade lap. Art Ekman along with David Bailey. Davey Coombs down the trackside. He's been working hard tonight. But after seeing the qualifications and the semifinals, your impressions now as we look forward to this big main event.
Well, I thought Huffman looked extremely strong coming from behind. So did Jeff Emig, and Ryan Hughes closed in on Jeremy. Yeah, he can say, well, you know, I knew I had it, but still, Hughes, I think, was a little bit faster. And Bradshaw, maybe he's warmed up now. There's a lot of guys that could win here tonight.
I think Jeremy's impression was, hey, I've got to be sharp to win it here tonight, with his interview after the qualifying heat.
Sure, he knew that he needed to pick up the pace a little bit. He knows that the heat race is only 8 laps. The main event's 20, and if Ryan Hughes is gaining that much in 8 laps, he better pick it up.
Well, this has been the most difficult track so far in the season.
Definitely, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the crashes. There's yellow flags waving everywhere, and it's very slick out there. It always has been, and the jumps are twice as big as they are usually. So when you come up short, you really pay the price.
Here's Jeremy McGrath kind of doing a little survey to the course.
Well, I think Jeremy is he's got to be the favorite. How can you bet against him?
The Lone Stars of Houston, the most wins. Mark Barnett and Bob Hanna have taken 5 victories here at the Astrodome. Jeff Ward, 4 wins. Damon Bradshaw, 3. Jeremy McGrath is gunning for his 3rd victory here at the Astrodome. And a Lone Star that didn't make our screen. There just wasn't enough room, really. In the number 6 position, David Bailey. You got a win here in the Dome.
Yeah, I wish I could have had a couple more. I was second a couple times, once to Hanna. That was as good as a win. Trying to beat Bob in those days was like trying to beat McGrath. But at least I went on to win the title, so it all paid off in the end.
The Suzuki starting grid. Jeremy McGrath, of course. Jeff Emig going to try to give him a lot of competition tonight. Damon Huffman. That was interesting. You brought his fine performance earlier up in our discussion. Brian Swink, Denny Stevenson, Damon Bradshaw. 3 wins here. Can he do it from his starting spot? I don't know.
Well, he's starting pretty far to the inside, and the way things have been going in the first corner tonight, everybody gets pushed wide, and if Damon gets off the gate decent at all, he's in a pretty good spot. I don't think it's too big of a disadvantage for him to be that close to the inside. At least there you get a look at him. There's nobody to the inside of him, so he's got a little elbow room to the inside. A lot of times if you get over the gate a little slow, and you got guys on both sides of you, if they get out quick, you just got to let off and ride to the first corner and last.
There's Steve Butler talking to Damon Bradshaw, and once again, Skip Norfolk with words of wisdom, words to fire him up. Whatever he thinks he needs at the time, he'll be screaming into Jeremy's ear right before the start of this race.
Who knows what it is? It might be something we were not allowed to listen to.
I don't know. Let's mic it one of these days, huh?
Yeah. And I pointed out that Bradshaw was all the way on the inside. Well, as they finished the parade lap entirely, Denny Stevenson lined up to the inside of Damon. So now he doesn't have the elbow room I thought. That's going to be tough.
Well, Emig is closest to the shack, then Jeremy, and then his teammate Lamson and Brian Swink in that order. Swink number 23 in your picture. The 32nd board is up. So we're almost set for the main event, 250 style from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. This track is a bigger area than we get in most areas. The dirt, well, half of it was already here and well fertilized because of the rodeo livestock show. So they just brought in a little less dirt than they needed to, but it made for a lot of great jumps and a lot of difficulty as we've seen prior.
Looks like McGrath is wearing like a jet ski style glove there. I haven't noticed that before, but...
Board sideways, and we're almost set. Can Jeremy take 8 in a row after breaking the record at 7? Oh, what a pack. Ezra Lusk breaking out in front, number 34. Cutting to the inside, though, is Jeff Emig, number 2. It'll be Emig with the lead. Jeremy McGrath in 3rd. And the race is on down the loop as Jeremy McGrath picks up the slack on Emig. Oh, we've got a good early battle going on with number 2 out in front of number 1.
Oh, I can't believe how slick McGrath was. He went into the first corner, buried in the pack, snuck around the inside, passed everybody in the whoops, and already we're looking at a replay of last year.
Jeremy McGrath taking a quick lead as he goes up the stair steps and goes into that other triple on the far side. So it's McGrath, Emig. Can Emig hold on now?
Art, that's why this guy wins. He was in the first corner. He looked like he was in about 8th place. Before they even complete a half a lap, he's in the lead, and now everyone's got to play catch-up. Brian Hughes, though, looking pretty strong. He was catching Jeremy in the heat race. He's running 4th right now.
He got tied up in that corner just a little bit. Ezra Lusk in 3rd, but Hughes has really come on strong. And Damon Huffman is right behind him as they go across to finish the first lap of action. This is a 20-lap main event. They did that first lap in about a minute. Emig taking the lead in the whoops. Jeremy McGrath to the inside. Can he box him out? McGrath taking it back again. Here comes Emig. Oh, my goodness. Emig to the inside. Gets him in the box.
Oh, boy, Emig is asking for it.
Over the quad. Oh, they both hit hard on that quad.
Emig came up a little bit short, but he had to go for it and take his chances, because if he didn't, Jeremy was going to make the pass. Emig is really aggressive right now. He's taking it to Jeremy.
And the rest of the pack is coming on. Hughes passing Lusk, or trying to for 3rd. He gets around him as they go into the 7 peaks.
Boy, he barely stayed on the racetrack there. He had enough momentum. He almost went off onto the cement. Now he sits 3rd. This is just how it was in Atlanta. I was starting to say, Art.
Oh, the crowd is on their feet. They can't sit down. Emig making the turn on the straightaway now with Jeremy McGrath in 2nd place. We've got a bona fide battle going on with Hughes in 3rd, Lusk in 4th, Damon Huffman in 5th, Lamson in 6th, Larry Ward in 7th, and Jimmy Button in 8th. McGrath trying to make his move here as they go into the triple.
Well, this looks like a replay of last year, as I was starting to say. Then Jeremy put the pass on, but Jeremy last year took him 6 laps to get around Emick. He's close enough to do it, but Emick's been up in front of Jeremy enough times. I don't think he's nervous anymore. I think he knows he's got the speed to beat him. He's just got to keep it together for 20 laps.
You know, it looks like Hughes is in good position, too, David.
Well, he's making up time,
He's
Art.
sucking up right underneath there to Jeremy McGrath. And if anything should happen to either of the front runners, he is right there.
Yeah, and so is Damon Huffman. All these guys are really close. Lusbrook's so good in that heat race. He's got the speed. He's not holding anybody up. And Lusk has got an interesting line to that section they just did. He's doing something I haven't seen all night. I don't know where he pulled that from, but he's making time.
So Jeremy McGrath now settling in, watching for his moment, rather than really pressuring hard. Here comes Hughes. Hughes to the inside. Jeremy McGrath on the outside. Hughes will help his cause. That's a teammate move. Jeff Emick getting a little breathing space in first place now with a great box out by Ryan Hughes.
Now, Ryan did a beautiful move right there, and I don't think he did it totally intentional, but he almost took Jeremy down. Jeremy did a good job. His legs aren't long enough to reach the ground, that berm turn, but he kept it up.
Let's go down trackside now to David Coombs.
Hey, I'm here to Skip Norfolk. Skip, are you concerned about what's going on here?
Oh, yeah, you know, we've been out front, leading the whole time.
Oh, they collided in the corner, the two Kawasaki's. Jeremy McGrath is hand in the lead. No, Ezra Lusk has taken it over. Oh, there'll be some discussions on that one.
Roy Turner is, I can't imagine what's going through his mind right now. 2 Kawasaki's in the lead. Ryan Hughes trying to sneak on the inside. That's where he passed to get into 3rd spot. It was a good move, but it's so slick. He washed out and took them both out.
Damon Huffman is in 3rd. Ezra Lusk battling with Jeremy McGrath. McGrath going to the inside. He will take the lead away from Ezra Lusk, but right there is Damon Huffman. He collides with Ezra, taking over 2nd place, but still on his bike.
Well, those guys hit hard. They hit right in the handlebars. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them bent a lever or something, but we got a replay perhaps coming up of Seattle. Huffman following McGrath through the pack, staying on his heels. He's got a great opportunity right here, Art.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time now as Jeremy McGrath pulls away. Can Damon Huffman, though, pick up and match that battle he did in Seattle?
Absolutely. Wait till you see when they come to that long whoop section. Damon Huffman is going through that. It looks like a gear higher. If he's close, he's going to make a pass.
It's Jeremy McGrath, Damon Huffman, Ezra Lusk in that order, with Steve Lampson now moving into 4th position and having a battle of his own with Hughes. Let's take another look at the replay of the 2 Kawasaki's in the lead.
Oh, what a... Hughes got in there. I couldn't see it that close the first time. Hughes' front end washed out. Looked like he hit the frame of Jeff Emick, pushed the back end out from underneath Jeff Emick. What a bad break for the both of those guys.
We join the leader, Jeremy McGrath, and right behind him is Damon Huffman taking over 2nd place. This is going to be an interesting battle, I have a feeling. Because Huffman has a great deal of confidence. He gives nothing away.
And he knows now in that battle with Seattle, he knows he just needs to stay in the game till the very end. He's got the fitness. He's got the speed. He knows he's faster in the whoops. A good battle for 3rd place now. Ryan Hughes got back up into 3rd after that mess. He's got Lampson on and Ezra Lusk back on his tail, but I think Hughes, unless he's bent the bike, will be able to pull away from these guys.
Jeremy McGrath in the lead right now. Damon Huffman wobbling a bit before going over the finish line jump. So he'll have to catch up some space right there. Is that Lammy?
Lampson going down. He's holding his knee. That's not a good sign. He got tangled in a battle with Lusk and that right-hander before the finish line jump. Emick going by. Lampson's in trouble right there. He's not going to finish this race.
Okay, we've got Jeremy McGrath and Damon Huffman 1 and 2. Let's take another look at Lammy's. He comes down hard. Oh, he tries to save it. Lusk is right behind him.
Well, all that happened there, Art, was he came up short. When he jumped up onto that plateau, he didn't get enough of a burst of power. Came up short. When you're leaning into that corner, that bike started to wobble.
We've got a 2-second lead for Jeremy McGrath, and we'll be back with the conclusion. 14 laps remaining in our 250 action. We are back in the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The main event, 250 style. Can Jeremy McGrath hold on with 13 laps remaining to win his 8th straight Supercross? He's got Damon Huffman behind him a couple of seconds. Behind Damon Huffman, another Kawasaki and Ryan Hughes, who is 2 seconds in back of Huffman.
Well, you know what happened as we broke away? Damon Huffman made a big mistake going through the whoop-de-doo section. He had a lot of momentum. He hit one bump, and he lost a lot of time. Now, Ryan Hughes isn't that far behind Damon Huffman. But the question is, can Damon Huffman close the gap back up to McGrath? That will tell us he's definitely faster, but can he pass him here?
My question to you is, what's going to happen in the Kawasaki camp after this is over, and if Jeremy wins?
Well, if we do get an interview from Jeff Emick, we're going to have to bleep the entire thing, because I guarantee you he's irritated with that. That's something he would have expected from McGrath, not his teammate.
Jeremy McGrath now going for the short double before the quad. Hits it perfect to Quadzilla, and here comes Huffman out of the Quadzilla as well. Huffman picking it up a little.
Yeah, he is starting to close just a little bit of the time he lost on Jeremy. We'll throw the stopwatch on Jeremy and see if he... Remember, Kevin Windham in the 125 class ran a 103. 250 should be a little faster here. The track's a lot faster. They're able to use that horsepower.
It's Jeremy McGrath. We're looking at Ezra Lust currently in 4th position.
19 seconds back to Damon Bradshaw.
Bradshaw and then Larry Ward.
LaRocco
Lawrence.
Way
Jimmy
back in the pack as Emick.
There's Emick and LaRocco, yes. And Brian Swink, number 23. To check out the lap time of Jeremy McGrath. He can't afford to waste any time. It's got to be an all-out effort as he comes off that triple.
Well, Huffman has a clear track up to Jeremy. Jeremy through that quad jump area again. Still doing it without any trouble.
4 seconds behind. And Hughes, it looks like Jeremy now is starting to ease out a little bit.
A minute flat, Art. That is hauling.
Especially on this very difficult 10-turn track.
Well, he's picked it up from the heat race, a couple of seconds per lap. In practice, they were running around 104, 103. So he knows he's got to put the hammer down because Huffman's back there. Guarantee he's giving it everything he's got.
If you just joined us, it was Emick and Hughes out in front of Jeremy McGrath until they collided, went down. Ezra Lusk had the lead out of that collision, and then Jeremy took over the lead from him. Jeremy McGrath looking sharp. You know, McGrath certainly has tons of good memories, but one of the bad ones happened right here in the Astrodome.
In 90, 125 class, I came here and shoot, I think I was in 2nd and came over the finish line about the 3rd or 4th lap. You know, that was my first full season. I was really happy. I was charging and went over the bars and knocked myself out completely.
Well, he's knocking himself out a little bit different way right now.
He's knocking the rest of the field out, and once again, I mean, these guys, Hughes and Emick, with a golden opportunity to beat Jeremy, and making a bad decision. You know, Ryan Hughes, I think at times is faster than Jeremy was in the heat race, and it looked like he was also here in the main event, but bad decision. That's one thing about Jeremy. He's so smart. Every time he throws a leg over that motorcycle, he's got so many qualities, but on top of all that, he makes good decisions on the racetrack.
9 laps to go, or we're in the 9th lap, as Damon Huffman is unable. He's trying hard right there, number 10, but he has not picked up any time on the leader.
He's doing everything he can. I've been watching, and it looks like the same exact interval. Actually, he's pulled away a little bit from Ryan Hughes, so perhaps Ryan, pretty wild ride for him tonight. Is starting to get a little bit tired, realizes it's about a mile back to 4th place. Maybe settle for 3rd and try to learn from that mistake.
Damon Huffman with that great 3rd place battle with Bradshaw. Bradshaw moving in front of him at Daytona to take 2nd. He's made 3 podiums this year. And, of course, Seattle, the only late race challenge for McGrath on the season. It was a 10-lap battle. Let's go down to Davey Coombs.
Okay, we just saw Brian Lunas give Damon a signal. You got 8 laps to go. Are you going to tell him to go after McGrath?
Well, he sees McGrath in the corners all the time. He lost a little. He went off in the whoops kind of bad one lap there, and he lost a little distance. So hopefully in the next 8 laps he can pick it back up again. Thanks.
There you see Damon Huffman in 2nd place. He's on the chase, but he's chasing the greatest Supercross rider of all time.
And 8 laps to go. That's an entire heat race. That's plenty of time for Huffman to chip away at McGrath's lead. And the other thing to remember is in the remaining laps, they're going to start getting into lapped riders. So that could play a major role in the outcome of this race.
It's always interesting for the fans who might be up in Dallas in our next one to watch Jeremy in practice dissect the track.
Well, Jeremy is brilliant. He's so quick to figure out what's going on. He knows when to make his move. He knows, like I said, his timing and his decision-making is fantastic. If he's got something up his sleeve, he'll hang on to it sometimes, make it look a little more difficult so nobody catches on.
This is a 3-way battle for 6th. As we look at Phil Lawrence, Larry Ward, as well as Mike LaRocco, number 8. Lawrence is number 13. LaRocco on the follow. And LaRocco certainly has had a disappointing time of it. Well, after coming off reconstructive knee surgery, it wasn't all a 100% situation for LaRocco.
Well, he came into the season, as you said, probably 80%. And he picked up a 5th place, and he followed that up with a 3rd, and coming into Anaheim, another 3rd. And then 4th place, rather. Then he went to Seattle in a DNF. He got tangled up with Mike Brown.
Got a rock in the radiator, I think it was.
It's been downhill from there.
Yep. Took a 3rd in Atlanta, but battled a bad start to come down. Doug Henry went down, and he's trying to get back up and get some points.
He actually was trying to carry a lot of speed into that whoop section and run his front wheel up over the hay bales and had to back up, get back on the racetrack. McGrath still hanging on to the same lead over Damon Huffman.
Honda team managers Wes McCoy. Davey Combs is with him now.
I'm down here with Steve's manager. What did you hear from Steve over there on the hay bale?
Well, he said his leg was hurting him real bad. We got his boot off, took a look at it. He doesn't have any contusions or any injuries or bleeding or anything. So I think he just took a real hard blow to the end. It's just a little painful right now. He's out of the race.
We'll see how he turns out after the race.
37,847 fans here at the Astrodome as they see number 1, Jeremy McGrath, with 6 laps to go before he takes his 8th straight victory of the season. You know, we're just getting to a point now where I think it's like a major league pitcher, David Bailey. In about the 4th inning, he's put them all down. The announcers are starting to think, do I talk about no-hitter or do I not talk about no-hitter? But, you know, if it comes to a win here, Dallas, we might be talking, can he go all the way?
From what I've seen tonight, he had a great challenge right there from Ryan Hughes. And I think these guys are so desperate to beat Jeremy now that they get too excited and try to do it too early in the race. I mean, that was, what, the 2nd and 3rd lap. They got 18 more laps to go. They were in a perfect position. Ryan could have just calmed down, held on to that. Then Jeremy would have had to work for it. That would have been a different story. The way I see it now, Jeremy could go all the way.
With 5 laps to go, he's got a 5-second lead. Let's go to Davey Coombs.
I'm down here with Wyatt Seals. This is Ryan Hughes, mechanic. That was a terrible thing that happened. What do you tell your rider to keep his confidence up after that?
Well, I don't know. Just trying to keep him focused. I'm surprised he's up where he is after a crash like that. I don't know. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I know he probably saw a chance to get by Emig right there, and he wanted to take it. And it just didn't pay off. It was a bad thing for both of them. I don't know. He seems to have leveled off right now. I'm sure the crash took a lot out of it.
Thanks.
So,
back to you, Art.
What took a great team effort of Hughes being able to block past McGrath to get into 2nd place behind Emig, and then all of a sudden those dreams just were shattered for the Kawasaki crew.
The bottom fell out. I think Ryan, in his mind, he probably made a pretty good move, and then it was just a complete accident, the front end washing out like that. He was trying to turn on the face of that jump. Emig's got to be pretty upset with it, but I think it was a golden opportunity. It was just like the Atlanta Supercross, where McGrath was a Kawasaki sandwich, and then Ryan passing McGrath the first time this season. Maybe he could have been a little bit more patient, but I think in his mind he was feeling like he made the right decision. It just probably caught him by surprise having that front wheel wash out.
Well, Jeremy's probably having fun right now. In fact, he would take a look at this track and say, this is a fun track for me. Here's Ezra Lusk, number 34. Let's go down to Davey.
Skip, you got 3 laps to go. What are you telling Jeremy?
Well, he's got to stay tough. It's really slick down here, and the minute you relax, you're going to be on your head. You know, those Cali guys hound on him pretty hard, but I think in all of them, he stayed the calmest and coolest, and I think that's what's paying off right now. He just put in 20 great laps.
Here's Ezra Lusk, who is having one of the better rides of his season. He's in 4th position right now.
He sure looked strong in the heat race and inherited the lead when that scuffle between Emick and Hughes took place. Probably surprised him so much. He got nervous and couldn't hang on to it. But still, I think what Lusk and LaRocco both need to do in the Suzuki camp is build confidence. And for Lusk to do anything dumb right here would be really dumb. He's got to hang on to a 4th.
Lusk trying to match his performance of a 4th place finish in Seattle. Let's go down to Davey.
I'm down here with Ed Longacre. This is Ezra's mechanic, very quietly putting in his best ride of the season.
Yeah, we regrouped a little after Daytona. We had an injury from Atlanta. I think the week off and the rest did him real good.
Thanks, Ed.
It's Jeremy McGrath out in front. Huffman 2nd, Hughes 3rd, and this young man in 4th position. Bradshaw moving up to 5th with 2 laps to go.
You know, I mentioned that the lap riders would play a major role, and they have. They've messed up Damon Huffman more than Jeremy. It's just been a kind of a stroke of luck, really, for Jeremy. He catches the guys in the perfect place on the racetrack, and he's able to get through clean, and by the time Huffman gets up to him, he's being held up. Right now, he's trying to get around Doug Henry and Sean Kalos, and Jeremy's just pulling away even more, and now a couple laps to go. I don't see any way unless Jeremy falls.
Jeremy coming off the tabletop, circles around. This will be the white flag lap. 1 lap remaining. And it looks like a possibility for number 10, Damon Huffman. Huffman is looking to take his 3rd second-place finish of the year.
I think the crowd is on its feet, starting to anticipate a neck. Jeremy, final time to the whoop section. He's not that far ahead of Huffman, actually. Here's the triple.
He points to the crowd to acknowledge him and say, hey, I got business to do yet.
Well, as he came over the finish line on the white flag lap, he over-jumped it. And he was kind of in no man's land. He wasn't really on line to use the outside berm, and he wasn't around the inside. He lost a lot of time to Huffman.
Jeremy McGrath saying hi to the Houston fans on the other triple on the other side as he heads to the Seven Peak area. And this race is almost over. 20 laps. We've now been 20 minutes and 13 seconds into the race. The checkers in sight for number 1, Jeremy McGrath. And Damon Huffman now coming over in 2nd place. 3rd place will probably go to Ryan Hughes, and we'll come back with the official listings and the comments from these riders in a moment. Well, the Astrodome here in Houston is famous for firsts, and it's the first time that these fans have ever seen a rider win 8 straight during the regular season. Jeremy McGrath, as we take a look at the 250 main results, and let's go down with the winner and Davey Coombs.
All right, Jeremy, once again, congratulations.
Thanks a lot, man. It was a tough race. I was riding a little tight in the beginning, and some racing was going on, and I kind of happened to be the good given that time.
What happened with the Kawasaki's in front of you? You had a front row seat of that.
Yeah, it looked like Ryan was passing Jeff, and I don't know what happened. The two got together, and I just kind of lucked onto it. Ezra passed me on the inside. I almost hit Rhino's wheel and went down, but came out good fortune that time.
And after that, you had only Damon Huffman as a Kawasaki rider to worry about.
Yeah, I had to push. You know, it's really humid and hot here tonight, and I know Damon was riding fast to the whoops, and I had to push really hard.
Art keeps talking about a no-hitter. Is that going to happen? You're going to win them all?
Well, I don't know. Never know. I'd like to think so, but maybe not.
All right, congratulations, Jeremy.
Thanks.
Well, he's the best, and he showed once again here, David. As we take a look at the 250 Suzuki point standings, Jeremy McGrath taking a 54-point lead over the second place Damon Huffman. That's unofficial, of course.
Well, that's a huge lead. With the races remaining, Jeremy could just about have an injury or something, miss a couple of rounds, and still come back and win the title.
Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs saying thank you for being with us. Join us next from the Cowboy Stadium in Dallas, Texas for round number 9.